Good morning. This morning I'm going to bring a message from the prophet Jeremiah. But before I get started, I'd like to read Jeremiah 38, 4 through 6 from the NIV version. Then the officer said to the king, "This man should be put to death. He is discouraging the soldiers who are left in his city, as well as all the people. But the things he is saying to them, this man is not seeking the good of these people, but their ruin. He is in your hands," King Zebedee answered. "The king can do nothing oppose you." So they took Jeremiah and put him into the citrum of Malachjes, the king's son, which was in the courtyard of the guard. They lowered Jeremiah by ropes into the citrum. It had no water in it, only mud, and Jeremiah sank down into the mud. So this morning, my topic is, have you ever been stuck in the mud? You can be a student in school, whether elementary, middle, or high school. You can be a fast learner or a slow learner. Adults, you can be a janitor, a waitress, sales clerk, servant, or have what some people would refer to as a degrading job. There have been times when we have all been stuck in the mud. We need to be reminded that what you do to earn a living is not what you are. You are a child of God, of character, commitment, intelligence, integrity, because you know who you are and what you are. Don't allow your surroundings to determine your self-worth or put you in the mud. Let me, if you will, define mud. Mud is wet, soft earth or earthly matters as on the ground after rain, or at the bottom of the pond, or among the discharge from a volcano. Mud also mirrors a section of wet, swampy ground or marsh. The ground of this kind is a wet, slimy soil of soft depth, deep mud. David, when in the sea of trouble, Psalm 69:2, "I seek in deep mire, where there is no standings. I come into deep waters, where the floods overflow me." Job said, "He has caused me in the mire." The New Living Translation says, "He has thrown me in the mud. I have become a dust and ashes." What about the people who have learned about Christ and how to be saved, but then rejection, the truth, returns to their sins? 2 Peter 2:22 says, "They made their proverbs come true. A dog returns to its vomit, and a washed pig returns to the mud." Look at Jeremiah. He was determined to tell the truth as he saw it. Tax was not his thing. Truth was. Politics was not his thing. Principle was. If you were their king, you wouldn't want to ask Jeremiah his opinion of your politics. He would tell you the truth. This was the mistake of the king of Judah made when the Babylons were preparing an attack to attack Jerusalem. The king was preparing to hold out because Jeremiah believed the judges of God was upon Judah. He advocated surrender. Some of the king's counselors and top officials who had the most to lose felt that Jeremiah should not openly preach a message of surrender or discourage the hearts of the people. The officials took Jeremiah from his cell and lowered him by the ropes into the citrum. in the prison yard where no wrath had left him to die. Jeremiah sunk in the mud. Jeremiah was devoted, uncompromising prophet of truth, seeking in the mud for telling the truth. Don't be mistaken. Everybody spends some time in the mud. Your faith has been tried until you spend some time in the mud. Sometimes life and misfortune puts us in the mud. Sometimes our own calculations and mistakes, weaknesses, and flaws put us all in the mud. Sometimes other people, through meanness, envy, fear, or resentment, puts us in the life of mud. Have you spent some time in the mud? Satan attempted to break our faith and spirit put us in the mud. Even marriages that survive have some mud on it. Even dreams realized have some mud on it. Every career has some mud on it, regardless of how successful we have become. A faith that is strong and holy, noble and clean has had some mud on it. It is mud that clings, stinks, and stains. Every life goes through mud. Can you see Jeremiah in the mud? Ask God why the cricket. Can you see Jeremiah in the mud asking God why the wicked prosper? See Joseph, the dreamer, lowered into the pit by his jealous brothers in the mud. See David playing crazy to save his life in the mud. And Abraham lying instead of believing to protect himself in the mud. Have you ever been in the mud? When it seems as if God has turned a deaf ear to you, prayers, the harder you try, the deeper you sink into the mud. When you find yourself in the mud, remember the mud is not your own. We need to take this message to the schools, colleges, hospitals, the sick, the wayward sons and daughters, the backslider, the fall husband and wives. The mud is not your home. Some of us have lost jobs, positions, received failing grades. The mud is not your home. Some have broken hearts because of the disappointment in those we believe. The mud is not your home. Remember, God still made a way for you and me. Jesus' blood can still save. The Holy Ghost still works miracle with you and me and upon you and me. The mud is not our home. We still have a chance for recovery, for wholeness and healing. If God brought others out, God can and will bring us out. Can you see Jeremiah forsaken when he had to preach the word faithfully for 40 years? He was beaten, jailed, threatened, and even forced to leave his homeland. Now he's sinking in the mud. While he was sinking in the mud, help was on the way. The king that agreed he should be killed finally rescued him. The Ethiopians had an important palace officer heard the cry, heard that Jeremiah was in the well. Elisha rushed it from the palace to speak with the king. "My lord, the king," he said, those men have done a very evil thing in putting Jeremiah the prophet into the center. He would soon die of hunger, for most all of the bread in the city is gone. So the king told Elisha to take about 30 of his men and pull Jeremiah out before he dies. Just like the Ethiopians went to Jeremiah's rescue, Jesus came to our rescue when we were in the mud and lift us up from the grind to grace, sin to salvation, happiness, helplessness to hope, faithful failure to faith, and hell to heaven. For I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, seeking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my desperate cry. From the waters lifted me, now safe am I. God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you.